This is JJ Solomon.
This Canelo Bradshaw, Mr. RTBA. Mr. These boys can't touch me on my worst day. And this is the Spit Bucket Podcast.
The Spit Bucket Speed Bag is brought to you by Diggles Elite Clean.
Welcome back to the Spit Bucket Podcast, episode number 5. I'm JJ Solomon, here with Corey, Mr. IOTBA Bradshaw. Man, I'm ready to jump into this speed bag. You ready for this speed bag? First things first, we finally got it. Amir Khan versus Kell Brook. Man. Overseas, what your thoughts on it?
Man, this 17-year beef they've been having, boy, it came to fruition last Saturday night because Kell Brook, when I tell you, JJ, he dominated, left no doubt, who was the man, in England. I mean, that was a spectacular performance by Kell Brook, all the talk. I was even intrigued by this fight, just the last press conference and leading into everything, but it was excellent. Big fight, Kell Brook, salute. Yeah,
congratulations, Kell Brook. I know that was years in the making. I know you had that chip on your shoulder from not getting that respect you thought you had. Did it go the way you thought it was going to go?
You know what's crazy? Sometimes I get caught up in the moment, right? Because then you see Amir Khan talking this talk, you see Bomac saying, he's a 4-round fighter, he's a 4-round fighter. And then, your mind play tricks on me, Sometimes, I always favored Kell Brook, but for some reason I was kind of leaning towards Amir Khan because of the way Bomac started talking, the way Khan was talking, but the one good thing I can say about it, though, they both shook hands with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's it all about? It's all over with. Water under the bridge now. What we got next on here, sir?
We got, Jermell Charlo, Brian Castano. It has been postponed.
Postponed, okay? Postponed. Not canceled. Don't say canceled.
From March 19th. Man, JJ, I was looking forward to that.
I was excited. I was excited, man. That first fight was fireworks. That first fight was a little controversial. There was people who thought that Charlo lost that fight. They gave it a draw. We were excited about seeing it again. I had Charlo losing by a little bit, but I could see the draw. I'm not saying it's robbery, but man, we got to see this. We got to see the rematch. We were excited about it. I want to see how Charlo bounces back because it wasn't a good night for him, regardless of the decision. So I was excited about it. I hope Castano gets that arm healed up because that's big for boxing. That's big for Charlo. That's big for the division. Thoughts?
Yeah, disappointed as a boxing fan. And I know everybody from the 214 to across the pond, y'all disappointed too, because this was leading into a lot of big fights that we got coming up. And with this rematch coming up, because it was highly contested, where some people thought Jermell Charlo won, some people thought Brian Castano won. I could have seen it going anyway. I wasn't mad at the draw. It was that close. But the one thing I can say, I got to give Jermell Charlo credit, he showed in rematches. He's successful.
Sure.
He shows that he had the blueprint. He did that against Tony Harrison. And he lost against Tony Harrison. Brian Castano. I'm thinking, why did this get postponed? We just seen him sparring with that, that dog in the 147-pound division in Virgil Ortiz. So I'm thinking, wow, did that happen when you were sparring Virgil? But, disappointing because this was a real good fight leading into all the good fights we got coming up.
We'll still get it. Just got to wait a little bit longer. Now, man, the big, gigantic official breaking news. We spent our entire main event talking about it last week, but Canelo locked down his plans for May, for September. He's even got a third thing in the books. Canelo Bebo is official for May 7th. What are your thoughts? Let's talk about it.
But when you say creme de la creme, it's one name you need to say, and that's Saul Canelo Alvarez. I say it again, everybody from the 214 to across the pond. When you say creme de la creme, It's one name you say, and that is Saul Canelo Alvarez, man.
I'm excited about it, dude. It's
3-fight deal?
It's possibly a 3-fight deal. We know it's 2-fight, but there's that 3rd fight option for December.
And they say how much? About like $160
million. Oof. And those fights are probably not going to go three decisions. He's going to make that money pretty quick. But good for Canelo, man, for securing the bag, eh?
And now he going up to fight for another title at 175. And Bivol is
dangerous.
One of the top fighters at 175. So, like, in your, like, because I know I spoke on this last week, and I think I was wrong when I said David Benavidez would have been the toughest, because this is a bigger man.
Bivol's bigger.
And I think Bivol have more in the toolbox.
Technically, more of a technical fighter, I think.
More technically and more defensive responsible and offensive responsible than Benavidez. Boy, Canelo he is great.
I'm going to say this. Please, if you've never heard of Bivol, just because you never heard of him, please don't call him a cherry pick. Go back and watch Bivol. The guy's got a skill set. He's got real talent. He's got footwork. He's a technical boxer, and he's big. So it could be dangerous for Canelo. With all that being said, though, I still think Canelo walks out with the W. And the dude's just securing his legacy. So we'll see. Good job. But on that note, dude, who was the big losers? Who was the big, gigantic losers from the Canelo Bivol news? Let's hear about it.
3 letters.
3 letters.
PBC.
Uh-oh. Mr. Al, man. Mr. Heyman took the L, didn't he? What's going to happen now, man?
Like, I'm like, this would need to happen. So PBC, let me holler at you. This would need to happen. Y'all out of the sweepstakes for Canelo. You got David Benavidez. You got Caleb Plant. You got Jamal Charlo. You got all them fighters over there. Can we see them get messed up? Can we see a Jamal Charlo get messed up with a Demetrius Andrade, a fight that we've been wanting for years? Can we see that happen now since Canelo is signed, sealed, and delivered? Can we see that, PBC? Because to me, it seems like PBC has been taking a lot of losses.
They have been taking losses, and it's like one of those people that just plays the lottery when it's big. Oh, Canelo's available? All right, let me put all my money in here. Damn, I didn't win it, so I'm never gonna. It's still, Al Heyman, it's still your job to make these fights happen. Now that Canelo's out of the picture, you're not gonna have to worry about Charlo fighting him. You don't have to worry about Benavidez fighting him. But do us a favor, do the industry a favor, and match these guys up. So when Canelo's done this year, now he's got a path for next year. Now we can see the Benavidez. Now we know who earned that spot. Now we know if Andre earned that spot. So Al Heyman, this is on you. It's not time to sit back and wait and see what Canelo's gonna do next year. Make the fights happen.
JJ, David Benavidez versus Caleb Plant. That's intriguing to me.
Easy.
That's a fight I want to see, ladies and gentlemen. Jamal Charlo possibly moving up, going to 168 against a Caleb Plant, a David Benavidez. That's intriguing to me. That's a fight I would want to see. And if PBC is smart, they would jump on the opportunity to spread their brand, especially with these fighters that they got, and make these fighters fight each other so they could be more known on a worldwide basis than being locked and concealed, waiting on a sweepstakes.
Yeah, exactly.
The Canelo lottery ticket.
I just said do us a favor and make them fight. Do the fighters a favor. They need to get paid. They need paychecks. They need to support their family. So come on, PBC. Come on, Al Heyman. Let's make the fights happen. No more Canelo talk for at least 12 months. But anyway, hey man, before we go to break, let's talk a little bit about NFTs.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, again, I know we talked about it last week. We want to make sure you guys understand. TSBNFT.com. We've got 150 NFTs. They start at right now, about $130, $140. Go get yourself an NFT and you get sweet access to Cowboy Stadium with us, the 2 biggest suites in the building, on April 16th for Errol Spence Jr. versus Yordanis Ugas. Don't buy the nosebleeds. You excited, Corey?
I'm very excited. And everybody from the 214, whether you in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex or you flying in, go look on the website of SeatGeek.com. Go look at how much them nosebleed seats cost. And then when you come get one of our NFTs, you could be sitting on the 50-yard line in the 2 biggest suites, rocking with TSB. And then everybody could see how we coming. It's a difference. Like you said, JJ, they ain't got to be waiting in them long lines.
We got 4 private restrooms. 4 private restrooms. We got chairs. We got elbow room. You don't have
a bar outside, food outside. Like you ain't got to do all that extra stuff bump shoulders, like you stated last week, sit next to somebody who's sneezing, maybe
Mr. COVID and Mrs. Chatterbox. Mr. COVID to your right, Mrs. Chatterbox. But yeah, for real, check it out. On top of it, guys, it's not just a one-time ticket. You keep this NFT. It's lifetime access to all of our events. If you don't want to keep it, you can flip it, make a profit, buy another one, whatever it is you want to do. But check it out, tsbnft.com. Holler at us on our social media if you have any questions. I know it could be a little confusing to buy that first one. We'll make sure we get you situated. But yeah, tsbnft.com. We'll see you on April 16th.
Don't wait because they're going to be gone.
Those are facts.
DC with Diggers Elite Cleaning, y'all. We have 2 deodorizers here. What we specialize in, this is one of the things that makes our brand stand out. When you come clean your home, you can get one of, this is one of our deodorizers. It's a little light scent, but most of our customers love it. But if there's something going on in your home, it's that smell that you cannot get rid of, hit us up. This is the deodorizer that you might want to use. I don't care if you got a skunk in the building. This is gonna basically get rid of that smell.
The Spit Bucket, this week in boxing history, man. Let's go. Let's give these birthday shout outs right off the bat. February 28th, Mr. Silver medalist from the Olympic Games, Keyshawn Businessman Davis, 23 years old. Happy birthday, Mr. Davis. Keep grinding. You're 4-0 already. You got my support. I've been supporting you for a minute. I love what you're doing in the game. You can make a big splash here in the lightweight division, so keep on grinding, brother. Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday to him, too. He one of them amateurs who turn pros, who people are talking about, like they was talking about Shakur Stevenson, like they was talking about Tank Davis and other young fighters who came up. So happy birthday to Keyshawn Davis. Let's get into it, man. March 2nd. Shout out to Chris Algieri, former champion, beat Ruslan Provokanov to become champion, turning 38 years old. Man, shout out to Chris Algieri, man.
Happy birthday, Chris Algieri. You're a class act for the sport, man. Fought the fight you were supposed to fight, so enjoy 38. I know we're 2 years away from 40. Enjoy it. Now, listen, man, this was kind of special to me. Hey, we met this fella.
Yep.
He's a legend in Ohio.
Oh, he is.
And we happen to share a birthday. Ray Boom Boom Mancini, March 4th. Mr. 304 like me. 61 years old, Hall of Famer, Ray Boom Boom Mancini, legendary fighter out of Youngstown, Ohio, right? So great meeting you. Thanks for what you did in sport. Thanks for what you continue to do in sport. And enjoy your birthday, sir. 61 years young.
Yeah, big shout out to Boom Boom Mancini, man. It was real good to meet him. Like, you could see how charismatic he was. You know how, he could talk the talk, walk the walk, how everybody in the building wanted to take pictures and just surround him. You could tell that he was a true legend in this city. And, just the love
he walked in
Ohio gave them. It was just remarkable. And that just show you what type of guy Boom Boom Mancini is. Happy birthday to you.
March 5th.
Oh, March stuff. And yeah, happy birthday to you too, because you share, that's crazy, sharing a birthday with a famous boxer, a famous athlete where you don't know about it. And then we was just around this guy, and Boom Boom Mancini.
I wish I'd have told him. We have the same birthday, Boom Boom.
But we didn't.
I don't know. So yeah, we'll be celebrating tomorrow. I don't know if you're going to be popping bottles, Mr. Mancini, but if you are, get one for me, brother. March 5th, this one's a little significant. I don't know if you want to talk about why Chris Areola.
Oh, no, it's significant because
Chris Areola.
Happy birthday. Well, he's going to be 41
years old, March 5th.
It's significant because that's kind of how me and Mr. J.J. Solomon and the Spit Bucket, that's how we came together. Because I think Andy Ruiz, everybody was on there talking about Andy Ruiz is the first Mexican heavyweight champion of the world. I said, why you got to say Mexican? Why you can't just say he's the heavyweight champion of the world? Why everybody got to be so significant? We're saying Mexican, right? And that's when my boy J.J. Solomon.
I may or may not have had a few drinks that night, and I was just requesting to go live with Correa, and he let me on. And it all started with that Chris Areola and Andy Ruiz fight. So happy birthday, Mr. Areola. Thanks for being born because we wouldn't have a Spit Bucket. So we appreciate you, sir. You're a warrior, dog. Happy birthday. Big one. March 5th. Turning 62 years old.
Freddie Roach.
Mr. Freddie Roach, what can you say?
You can't do nothing but salute Freddie Roach. I mean, you know, like, what he did with Manny Pacquiao is legendary, and that's gonna go down in history, you know. And not just Manny Pacquiao, a bunch of other fights. He had De La Hoya. He had just
it was in Tyson's corner for a bit.
He had a bunch of. He just had Mark Masago beat Gary Russell Jr. You know, this dude is legendary in the sport, like, and you know, it needs to be a lot of respect put on Freddie Roach's name because, you know, in the heyday of boxing, you know, he was a big part of changing the landscape. And when he brought Pacquiao on, it just turned him into a...
And you know what I respect the most about Freddie Roach? He's got a pretty serious disease, dog. Parkinson's is rough.
Yep.
Nobody defines, he doesn't let the Parkinson's define him. When you talk Freddie Roach, you talk about wins, losses, titles, and him being a damn good trainer. You don't talk about his Parkinson's. Yeah, we all see it. We all seen his condition worsening, but he doesn't let it define him. And for that, I salute you, man. He gets in that ring and he's a monster. That's his passion. So Freddie Roach, 62 years old. Happy birthday, sir. We appreciate what you've done to boxing.
Okay, this is a big one right here, JJ. March 3rd, 2000. My guy, when I was coming up, Felix Tito Trinidad. That was my guy, I'm sorry. That was my guy, you know?
Yeah.
Felix Tito Trinidad. He moves up to super welterweight and he beat David Reed. You know what I'm saying? That
Forrest Whitaker. David Reed. I'm just kidding, man.
Look, but that was my guy coming up. You know, it was a big thing, you know, like when Trinidad beat your guy coming up.
No. He didn't beat my guy. When the judges put them scores that made no sense, the world knows Oscar De La Hoya beat Tito Trinidad. De La Hoya did shit to bed them last 4 or 5 rounds, but I think he had that fight in the bag, and it's unfortunate. But I'm not taking away. This ain't about De La Hoya. Tito Trinidad moves up in weight, fights a already real champion in David Reed. Takes the belt in 2000 and just adds to his legacy. So happy birthday, Tito. I ain't got no problems with Tito. I love
the
Tito.
greatest of all time.
Yeah.
That was my guy coming up.
You know what, bro? And Puerto Rico still hasn't really filled that void. Miguel Cotto had a hell of a career.
He tried.
But
he just wasn't as charismatic. Like, we interviewed Miguel Cotto. Like, salute. This has nothing to do with his career because he's legendary in boxing. But we had the opportunity to interview Miguel Cotto. And when it comes to interviewing Miguel Cotto, I don't think he has that it factor where it magnifies the audience how Felix Tito Trinidad did.
Cotto just wanted to fight and take care of business, while Trinidad embraced the idea of being the ambassador for his country. So I don't know that Puerto Rico ever replaced that Tito Trinidad aura, that monster magnitude of his fights. Cotto was a damn good fighter, but happy birthday, or no, not happy birthday, Tito. Congrats on the big win. And then we got another one, a historical one. March 1st, 2003, 3 days before I turned 18 years old. Roy Jones Jr. moves up to heavyweight and makes history. Becomes the first middleweight to ever move up the ladder and get himself a heavyweight championship against John Ruiz, who I think about 2 years earlier, he had taken the belt from Evander Holyfield. So Ruiz was a legitimate fighter. Roy Jones saw some holes in the game, and it was history.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't talk about that. Like, that's, you know, whether if Ruiz was the least best heavyweight at the time, he was a heavyweight champion who had a legitimate victory and how he became heavyweight champion. And people don't put enough respect on Roy Jones Jr.'s name from what he did, from coming up from middleweight to going all the way up to heavyweight, becoming champion, man. That's extraordinary. And I think that get lost in the sauce when we talk about boxing. I don't think Roy Jones get enough credit for that accomplishment. Nobody ever did that.
Nobody done it. And man, he just wiped the floor every division he was in. I think the biggest knock on Roy Jones, and it's not his fault, it's that he never had that gigantic super fight. I don't think. You know, B-Hop was either too early or too late in his career. He fought James Toney early, dominated James Toney, but after that, like, it was not that Tito Trinidad De La Hoya type fight, you know, where it was just, that's not his fault,
I know, but it's easy to say that, JJ, but everybody, he was just that much better than everybody, because we say not a super fight. He destroyed James Toney.
Oh, yeah.
He don't get respect for beating James Toney like that. You know, it's some truth to what you're saying, but it's also, you got to look at it that he was dominating everybody.
It's like being mad because there's no competition for MJ or what. Like, it's not Roy Jones' fault. The man was a monster. What he did in the ring won't happen again. We won't see. That's a once in a generation talent. And I salute you. I'm just saying, I think that's why people don't remember. Do you remember that crazy ass Roy Jones fight or that war? He never had him because he was just that damn good.
And then when he did,
he was on the wrong.
Tarver,
he was on the wrong end of it.
Like even the first fight with him and Tarver, I thought I edged Tarver with that fight. I'm not gonna even lie to you. I edged him with that fight. Then he come back. Tarver said, "You got an excuse tonight, Roy."
Right before,
knock him out. Then Roy Jones, he had a big one against Glenn Johnson. He lost that one. So I understand it, but he went to heavyweight and came back down.
And that was the detriment of his career, bro. Yeah, that hurt his body, and he'll tell you today, putting all that weight on, coming back down, that's bad for your body, and I think that was a prime example of it. But regardless, Roy Jones, Hall of Famer, top 10 in my book. The dude is a bad man. So Pensacola's own Roy Jones Jr., we didn't forget, I promise. And that's this week in boxing history, isn't it?
Yep.
This week in boxing history. Appreciate you guys. Stay tuned after this quick break. TSB Spitter is brought to you by the Crib Cashers. You need to sell your home quick? Skip the repairs, any condition, any situation, no closing costs, no realtor commission, and have a cash offer for your home in 24 hours. Just call 214-494-1340 or visit thecribcashers.com. That's thecribcashers.com. Ooh, it's back for some TSB Spitter shit. Ready for it?
Man, let's go, baby.
Let's see who's talking nonsense. Who's speaking fire, bro.
Okay, so.
Oh yeah, correct. Get your spit.
My spit of the week, Mr. JJ Solomon and everybody from the 214 to across the pond, is Ismail Salas, the coach of Yorganis Ugas. He sends a warning to Earl Spence Jr. and his team that his fighter Ugas has big balls. Check this out.
One thing I can tell everyone, and tell to Earl Spencer Jr. or his team, Ugas is no easy peasy. Ugas is one of the more challenger welterweight right now.
Boy, the main thing that stood out to me, bro, about that interview, like that dude was serious, focused. He said there's 3 elements, and he went through all 3 of them. And what he also told everybody from the 214 to across the pond about his fighter, he told this to Earl Spence Jr. and his team. He said his fighter in Yorganis Ugas is no easy peasy.
No easy
peasy. This interview right here got me excited because when people talk about Ismail Salas, they talk about him as one of the greats in boxing, and especially after us hearing him talk in that interview how articulate he was, man, and broke down how he bring a fighter through 3 levels. Man, this was a tremendous statement. He said, and I loved it.
I loved it, and you definitely instill confidence in the audience that Ugas ain't working with some schmuck. If you watch that whole interview, boy, he breaks it down like to a technical science. It's so precise. So, with all that being said, I think EJ Spence is just, I know EJ knows that it's not going to be easy peasy. I understand that, and I think EJ knows it. But I think 100% Ugas, 100% Errol Spence, it's a wash. I think 100% Ugas and 85% Spence might be where we see him. I still think Spence takes it, bro. But time to see it.
I don't know, man. I'm lost on this fight right here because Ugas just came off the biggest win in his life, and when you look at the guy in Ugas, he's a guy who had to get it the harder way for real. And when I look at a guy like Earl Spence, he was a guy who had to get it the harder way too. But Earl Hardaway was different than Ugas Hardaway, because if you looked at Yorganis Ugas versus Sean Porter, I really thought Yorganis Ugas won that fight, and he lost that fight. And just like his coach Ismail Salas said, Ugas had 3 losses. How many times in boxing history do we see a guy who has 3 losses and able is to rise to the occasion like your Gainus Ugas and with Earl Spence, because I think Earl Spence 100% healthy, and I think Ugas is too. But with Earl Spence, him coming off of what he come off of, that excruciating car wreck, eye retina, him able to come back and fight Danny Garcia after that wreck. He showed us who he was. I know Earl Spence is a dog. I tell everybody this from the 214 to across the pond. I done been around a lot of fighters, JJ Solomon. I done seen a lot of fighters put in work. I ain't never seen nobody work as hard as Earl Spence, and he has a reason to be motivated because it's people out here from the 214 to across the pond who doubt him. We want to know if this guy is still the same. And that ain't being critical of him. That's just some truth, because we want to know, are you still that same guy? How is he going to react to when he has a target of that retina on his eye?
It's a legitimate concern. I can't wait to see it. I think it's a hell of a challenge for Spence coming back. It's not going to be a gimme, but I think Spence is a special talent, and I can't wait to see it from the Sweets. From the Sweets. All right, I got me a spit. One of my favorites. My favorite of all time. Agreeing with me 100%. Where's that glove at? That Mike Tyson signed glove that my beautiful wife got me for our anniversary gift. Anyways, Shannon Sharp, Fat Tongue Shannon Sharp, asked Mike Tyson a quick question about why these fights aren't happening. This is what Mike Tyson had to say.
That's why YouTubers are taking, because they're exciting. They're more exciting, more so. They can't fight, but they're more exciting than the fighters. Fighters are not fighting competitive fighters. They're fighting guys that they're walking over.
So you would like to see Earl Spence Jr. and Bud Crawford fight?
Absolutely, and I want to see Errol Spence go up to 154 and fight Charlo brother too. These guys gotta want to be immortal. I wanted to be immortal. I want the world to know my name to the end of time.
Bruh, Mike Tyson hit the nail on the head. Like this is coming from the top. Like, does it get more famous than Mike Tyson? Should you respect his opinion? Should you respect anybody's opinion more than Mike Tyson? I mean, he's up there. Like, he loves the art of war. He loves the science of boxing. And he wants to see these fighters fight. We need to see Spence and Bud. We've talked about it till we're blue in the face. But you're hearing it from the top. It's hurting the sport. The man said it himself. This is why YouTubers are taking over, because we're tired of seeing big fighters faced up against, I don't like saying easy. Again, I'm not gonna say easy, but fighting up against lesser opponents. It's unfair to it's unfair to the sport. It's unfair to the fan base that we're pouring our money, time, effort, energy in. Listen to Mike Tyson. You don't gotta listen to Mr. ILTBA and JJ Solomon. Listen to Mike Tyson. Let's make these fights happen. That's my spit of the week. Thank you, Mike.
And when it comes to Mike, there's no body on this planet, when it comes to boxing right now, if you alive, who's more famous than Mike Tyson. So if you hear a guy like Mike Tyson talking and saying it, a guy who really was about that life, fighting these guys, that means something to me.
Absolutely, man. So let's make it happen, man. Let's listen to the legends. Great. Let's hear the kid of the week, bro.
Oh, man. Andre Ward and Triple G. Let me holler at y'all. They on there throwing shots at each other, Mr. JJ Solomon. It's like, okay, what for?
Why?
What for? What is all this for? Like Triple G, you hoping and wishing and hoping that you get that call from Canelo to be a part of this $160 million fight deal. Andre Ward, you on ESPN Plus with Tim Bradley calling the fights. Like, Andre, what is this? Now, I have to give Andre Ward more credit in this than Triple G, because it's an interview with Triple G saying, oh, Andre Ward, he's too much.
Oh yeah, there it is. It's out there.
He's too much. He's too much. It's a video with him saying that. But it's like, what are y'all doing this for now? What is all this chitter-chatter about? Andre Ward, you retired. What you on here bickering for? You act like is you coming back? Is that what you trying to tell us? You will come back and take this Triple G fight? I don't know. I just don't get it, Jay.
They missed the limelight.
It was there.
Yeah, it was there. He walked away from it. Hey, nobody's talking bad about it. You chose to walk away from the sport. Come on now. Like, Triple G, I mean, what are y'all doing? Who cares? Good shit, bro. That's a good shit of the week.
Yeah, that's definitely my shit of the week.
Stop wasting our time. And here's my shit. This one is just, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but this is going to DAZN, all right? DAZN boxing. You know, y'all came out a few years ago, started signing big names, started making big promises. We are doing away with pay-per-views. No more pay-per-views. Subscription-based. It's going to fix all of the pay-per-view problems. We've seen the issues with the Canelo camp. We saw him break away from Golden Boy because of all the issues from DAZN and the money not being there. We've heard rumors of DAZN hurting. We've heard, and now we sign Canelo versus Bevo, and then we're putting Triple G in there too. And now you want me to pay my membership, my subscription cost, plus $60 for a pay-per-view? Like, listen, I'm okay with it because this is a good fight. But man, y'all just gonna sell your soul like that? The whole purpose of your existence was to eliminate pay-per-views. And now, it's like we were talking about, the one lottery ticket. Everybody just trades in their beliefs, trades in their everything to land the golden ticket in Canelo. Just like old Willy Wonka. Dude, it's a bad look to go against the reason you were created, man. So that's my thoughts. I think DAZN's silly. Hey, if that was your plan in first place, you should have let us know. Now we've been paying all these subscriptions, and now we still got to pay more pay-per-views. You're just like the rest of the networks. You're just like ESPN Plus. You're just like Showtime. There's nothing different about DAZN now, except they got us on a monthly subscription.
I think it's a breach of contract. And you know, I think Eddie Hearn needs to be held accountable because I agree with you 100%, JJ. Like, you base this off subscriptions.
Yeah.
Us paying this small fee to subscribe and pay this every month. Now you're bringing us this pay-per-view fight. Hold up, what do that subscription mean for the people who've been paying for it this long? Now they got to pay extra to see this? That's out of line for me, and Eddie Hearn needs to be held accountable for that, him and DAZN.
Bad business, DAZN. But, hey, let's see Canelo. Let's see Canelo. All right, stay tuned after this message. We're coming back for the main event.
Here it comes!
TSB main event brought to you by Overhead Door Pros. Fellas, if you can't get it up, you need to call Overhead Door Pros. These guys get the job done right and get out fast. You can call them at 817-689-9906 or visit www.garagedoorsorus.com, on Facebook.com, Overhead Door Pros.
All right, we got some serious stuff to talk about for this week's Spit Bucket main event. As everybody knows, there's some terrible things going on the other side of the world that, fortunately for us, we don't have to experience. But you know, you've got Putin and Russia military invading in Ukraine, and we're not here so much to talk about Russia and Putin, and if we hate Putin, if you don't hate Putin, but we're here to talk about the boxing piece of it. That's huge for me. The Klitschko's, man. The Klitschko's, what they did in boxing, they dominated the sport 20 years. However long they dominated the sport, they dominated. They took their millions, they walked away healthy, but now they're focusing on the people of their country. Vitaly Klitschko is the mayor of the capital city. Yeah, Kiev. And here's what they're doing. They are fighting. They're strapped up and fighting, protecting their country, protecting their city, protecting their civilians. And for me, man, it does not get more courageous than that. What are your thoughts on the Klitschko's, what they're doing? And then we can talk a little bit more about the Ukrainian boxers and the presence. What are your thoughts, man?
Man, I think it's amazing. I think it shows the true character of a person. You know, for them guys to be as wealthy as they are. They could have easily, went and hid under a rock, J.J. Solomon. But
stayed in their office.
The courageousness, the pride that they have for their country. They say country first. And when you look at a person like me being from the United States of America, I'm big on that. It's always country first to me. I bleed that red, white, and blue to the death of me, right? Because I do understand before us, how people had to fight for us. So when they call America the land of the free, it really is the land of the free, because people like me, people like you, people who other different nationalities, we could all walk around America as one. So when I look at Vladimir, when I look at Vitaly, it just showed the courageousness of them and how they are the epitome of when it comes to country first.
I love it. And it's something that a lot of millionaires wouldn't do. A lot of people with notoriety, a lot of Hall of Famers in their respective industry or sport, they'd say, I'm out of here. Now, I don't know that to me is incredible. And I don't know what else you can say about what Vitaly and Vladimir are doing. I mean, they felt, when you read their posts or you know, their announcements, they felt like it was their responsibility. Like it wasn't even a choice. They didn't sit home and think about it, or should I go, honey, or should I stay, honey? They said, no, we're under attack. We go fight. It wasn't even a choice. It was their duty to their country. And for me, man, I don't see how you are a bigger hero than that. You're laying your life, potentially laying your life on the line for your country. That's awesome. But in the same breath, Vasily Lomachenko is catching some heat. Yesterday, Coppinger posted, it wasn't yesterday, sorry about that. A couple of days ago, Coppinger posted that Vasily Lomachenko is not in the country. He fled seeking refuge in Greece. And you want to talk about people attacking Lomachenko. I don't know, man, this is a difficult conversation. What would you do type of situation? You know, I love the United States. I love my country, and I love and respect what the people before us, the generation before us, have done, laying their lives out on the line for us having the ability to do this, to talk, to go out to fights, to go out to games, to go to the bar, to take your kids to Six Flags without that fear. We don't understand it. We don't understand it. All we see is what's on the news. We were in Miami not too long ago, and some guy was giving us a ride, a cab driver, and he was like, "You Americans just have no idea what it's really, really, really like to live for a dictatorship, or to have people, the government really hating you." We're spoiled, guys. And it took a lot of sacrifices to get to where we are now. So when you ask me now, JJ, what would you do if you're Lomachenko? You have to fight. You have to fight. This isn't just signing up for a war. This is your country getting invaded. And Vasily's got kids. He's got a wife. I understand that. But if everybody took that approach that, all right, well, I'm not gonna do it because I'm taking care of my kids, then there's no hope for
what did the people who did before us, who fought for our freedom,
said no.
It means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it says I'm not doing it.
And this is my thing right here with Vasily Lomachenko. Love him as a fighter, right? Love him, right? And to each his own, you know. People make decisions, and you got to live, and you have to stand by your decision that you make, right? When I look at this guy, when I say country, right? This was the same guy who represented his country and won 2 gold medals.
2 times.
That was that same, you were that same guy, Vasily Lomachenko, who represented your country of Ukraine and won 2 gold medals, right? Like I said, I'm not trying to pour salt on the wound because this is sensitive, right? I'm with you, me. I'm fighting for my country because I know my country and the people before me. It's a lot of people who died and fought for me. If it came down to it, I'm fighting for my country, right? But Vasily Lomachenko, 2 gold medals.
Yeah.
He boxed for his country. He won gold medals for his country. Like,
do you think the people of Ukraine, like, here's the thing, he's an athlete though. He didn't sign up to fight for his country just because he's a boxer and a fighter, you know? So I understand it. Like I said, it's different than going to just your traditional war, signing up if you want to. But Ukraine is not allowing men from the age of 18 to 60, not 30, not 35, 60 years old. They're not allowing them to leave because they need to be there to fight and defend their country. So I get Loma's concern. You know, we haven't even talked about Usyk. Usyk's got a giant rematch coming up in 2-3 months. He's got millions, yeah. And Usyk turned right back around I'm not sure what his plans are there, because I think all he posted on social media was no war, but he's there. And I'm not blasting Lomachenko. I can't speak for another father. I can't speak for another husband. I can't speak on his situation. So I'm not gonna say, hey bro, that's a coward move. I'm telling you what I would do. The responsibility for our kids and their kids, and the responsibility to keep fighting for the people before you who laid their lives on the line. It's so difficult, man. And I'm not gonna get on here and say, Loma, you're a coward. That's sorry, because we don't know the circumstances, man. But he's taking some heat. I don't know if he deserves it, man. But damn, the Klitschko's put the bar so high. Like now, all these other boxers, Ivan Redcatch, he posted yesterday, my family had to run to the woods because their cars are getting shot up. Ivan Redcatch posted that. So it's sad, bro. Yeah, somebody needs to be able to defend it. Should it be the boxers, the fighters, the famous celebrities?
I'm with you.
Yeah.
When you say I'm not on here to call Lomachenko no malicious names. I'm not on here to do that. Because you do have to think about reality of putting yourself in that position. We ain't in that position. I'm telling you what I would do. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm giving you my perspective just like you do, because we understand what this beautiful country and the people before us have did for us, right? So I'm not on here to call Loma no malicious names. But my thing is, like, this is your country. What's that, Lomachenko? This is your country. This is where you grew up. This is your roots. Mm-hmm. Like, this is everything. So my thing is, it's just not a good look, especially when you see the forefathers who made Ukraine like great for the sport of boxing, that gave them notoriety, in Vladimir and Vitaly. Mm-hmm. It's out there on the forefront. JJ Solomon and everybody.
These guys approaching 60 years old. Yeah, they're big guys. They got military experience. Their dad's got military experience. But right now, Ukraine is about to not even be a Ukraine. So even if you listen to Vasyl Lomachenko, and if he, I haven't heard any media outlets from Vasyl, but what I'm saying is, if it's because of his family, and you take your family and the country gets wiped up, your kids have nothing. Your kids have no legacy. They ain't got no home. Yeah, you got, I think at some point, every man in those situations has to look themselves in the mirror and say, do I possibly leave my kids without a daddy? Do I possibly leave my wife without a husband? Fighting for my country? Or do I run and hope to start a new life somewhere? Man, I think the option is you gotta fight, dude. That's just me personally, but I'm not knocking.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. And listen, our hearts are with the people from the Ukraine. Some of the images and the things we're seeing, it seems like this is 200 years ago, and like we shouldn't be seeing this in 2022, but our hearts are really with the people of the Ukraine who've got nowhere to go, who've got no options but to fight or hide. It's a terrible situation. I'm proud of the Usyks and the Klitschko's out there, you know, representing their legacy. It's not even a boxing thing. They're not representing boxing. They're representing their legacy and who they were in the ring and who they were as individuals. And big ups to them. But man, we pour our hearts out to you guys, and we feel, I mean, we empathize and we feel for you guys in Ukraine. I'm hoping that we can get out of this and it's all behind us one day.
And it's just like when I think about Vladimir and Vitaly, they was already legendary in the sport for what they did in boxing, but this just puts such a bigger glow around them and what they're gonna be thought about and talked about in the future. That glow is gonna be amazing. This is the most amazing thing, you know, that you could do, you know, like, especially being on their level, because it's easy, like we say, as a super millionaires, like they are, to say, I could just get out. They right there.
It's insane. It's incredible. And listen, the last thing we want is for you guys to jump on the comments and say, hey, you guys don't know what y'all are talking. We're just talking what we would do, what we feel the responsibility is. We're giving the Klitschko's their props. It's a tough situation for everybody, for the civilians, for the military, for the government officials. from us on the outside looking in. So again, our thoughts and prayers are with you guys from the Ukraine. This is a tough situation. It's hard to break sports from real world situations, but we at least wanted to shine some light on the boxing piece of what's going on out there. There's people trying to make a difference. So again, our thoughts and prayers are with you guys. We hope we can bounce out of this as a world, as a human, as a race of humanity.
And like you say, this ain't even to bash Vasil Lomachenko. It's just a part of the story, and it's our due diligence to address the part of the story. But we're not on here to call him malicious names, because this is
it's real life, man.
This is real. This is reality, and what they going through in the Ukraine. That is scary. So it's and then as small as the Ukraine is, it's just like when you hear people saying it's a no-win situation, it's scary. So y'all have to think about that before y'all criticize Vasil Lomachenko too.
For sure. So big ups to Klitschko's and big prayers and thoughts for everybody else involved. So that's our main event, guys. We've got, we'll be praying for you all. And Spit Bucket will be doing our part of making sure that attention gets placed where it needs to get placed. So, thoughts and prayers. Appreciate you guys.
Thoughts and prayers to the people of the Ukraine, man. No TSB, man. We praying for y'all, man.
All right, guys. Thanks again for tuning in for another episode of the Spit Bucket Podcast. Before we leave, just a few reminders. TSBNFT.com. Our NFTs are there. That'll get you into the building for Spence Ugas, but also you've got links to all of our social media, so you can follow the Facebook, the Instagram, the Twitter. There's updates constantly being put out for events and what's going on in the NFT world. But on top of that, we've got our merch site there. You can see all the podcast episodes on there. Our merch site, everything, not just the merch, but if you want to land some hoodies, hats, shirts, beanies, whatever the case, check out the site. But it's important you know that 10% of all of our proceeds, whether we're talking NFTs, donations, or whatever the case, merch, 10% going to TSB Warrior Foundation. Corey, tell me about that Warrior Foundation.
Oh yeah, like you said, 10% go to our Warriors Foundation, and everything we do for the fighters who've been critically injured in the ring. That's something that we're very passionate about. So that's why we want everybody from the 214 to across the pond to get involved in that as heavily as y'all can, because we want to show everybody how us, the Spit Bucket, is doing our part. Not only by talking boxing, covering it, going to these events, but giving back to the fallen fighters, who have had devastating things happen to them in that square circle. This TSB Foundation is one of the proudest things that I've ever did in my life, right? Because I do understand these fighters have choices. It's their choice to get into the ring. They understand what happens with that. But see, the thing about it is we never think nothing critical or tragic is going to happen. That's why I'm glad we could do our part with 10% of everything we make, and we could give back to these fighters who get in the ring and do that.
I love it. Well, thanks again for tuning in. It's time for me to celebrate my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, my boy.
All right.
I'll say hold up.
It's my birthday. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Tune in next time. Subscribe to the YouTube. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Share with your friends. We appreciate all of y'all's support. We'll see you next week.
TSB, baby.